Jack Baker and Michael McConnell were a gay couple who were activists in the Minnesota LGBT community. Their desire to be legally married conflicted with the social norms at the time. After they were denied a marriage license in 1970, they found a way through the law and became the first same-sex couple to be issued a marriage license in the United States. Being openly gay or lesbian in the middle of the 1900s was very difficult. Many people thought being homosexual was blameworthy and wrong. In 1952, homosexuality was officially listed as a disease by the American Psychiatric Association.
A survey shows that 2 out of 3 Americans look upon homosexuals with disgust, discomfort, or fear.
If your employer knew you were gay or lesbian, you might not be hired or you could be fired. In 1953, President Eisenhower banned homosexuals from federal government jobs. Eisenhower took this action, claiming it was a security risk. Tired of discrimination, gays and lesbians started taking action to have their relationships publicly accepted. They held protests and started clubs and centers. In July of 1961, the state of Illinois became the first state to remove laws that criminalized being homosexual. However, gays and lesbians were still thought of as criminals. On June 28, 1969, police held an unexpected raid at the Stonewall Inn in New York City. The Stonewall Inn was a gay bar and tavern where gays and lesbians could be themselves and socialize. After the police raided Stonewall, many people in the community started recognizing the unfair treatment to this segment of the population. There were many privileges heterosexual couples had that gay and lesbian couples did not have. One big privilege was the right to be married. On October 29, 1966, at a barn party just outside of Norman, Oklahoma, Jack Baker and Michael McConnell, 2 young gay activists, were introduced by a mutual friend who told them they were meant to be together.
At one point, he said to me, Michael, I want you to meet this guy over here. So he took me over, and I was kind of rolling my eyes in my head. I thought, oh no, here we go again. He's going to match me up with someone.
They fell in love, and a year later, they moved in together in Minneapolis. Baker asked McConnell for a committed relationship. McConnell said yes, but under one condition, that they could be legally married. Baker promised McConnell that he would find a way. Baker enrolled in law school at the University of Minnesota. To find a way, he and McConnell could be legally married. He discovered that in the Minnesota marriage statute, gender is not specified or mentioned.
Because when I asked Mike to be my lover, he said that on one condition that we get married and legally, and so I said, well then, it looks like I have to go to law school. So that was literally the only reason I went to law school.
So, on May 18, 1970, Baker and McConnell went to the Hennepin County Courthouse and applied for a marriage license. They wanted to draw attention to their case, so they notified reporters beforehand. Their application was denied by County Clerk Gerald R. Nelson. They kept trying. Baker and McConnell asked Hennepin County District Court to issue the marriage license. Hennepin County Attorney George Scott agreed that the license be denied, because on the marriage license application, it stated that the license must be issued in the county where the bride lives. Scott claimed that if a bride wasn't involved, it couldn't be issued. They appealed to the Minnesota Supreme Court. Their case was called Baker v. Nelson. Soon after applying for a license, McConnell's recent job offer at the University of Minnesota Library got taken away because of all the publicity. McConnell sued the U of M for job discrimination with the help of the Minnesota Civil Liberties Union. Then it gets interesting. Still desperate for a legal bond, McConnell adopted Baker because it provided some of the same legal benefits as marriage, and there was no law stating you can't marry someone you have adopted.
So you have some of the rights of marriage by going through the adoption process, but not all of them. So it was the next best step while we waited for everything to run its course.
One of the benefits of adoption was that Baker could legally change his name, so the couple took advantage of that, and Jack Baker became Pat Lynn McConnell, a gender-neutral name. So August 9th, 1971, McConnell went to the Blue Earth County Courthouse alone to apply for a marriage with Pat Lynn McConnell. The clerk, unaware that she was issuing a marriage license to a same-sex couple, provided the license.
That will change my name to Pat Lynn McConnell, and once we did that, Mike was able to go down to another county and apply for a marriage license under his name and my correct legal name, which at that point then was Pat Lynn McConnell, in which case Mankato did issue the license, and now we had a marriage license. It was
On September 3, 1971, Jack Baker and Michael McConnell were married in a friend's apartment by Methodist pastor Roger Lynn. A friend had made a cake topper for their wedding by taking apart 2 bride and groom figurines and gluing the 2 grooms together. Dressed in white bell-bottom pantsuits and beaded headbands, they recited their vows, making them the first same-sex couple to get married in the United States. Six weeks after their marriage, the Minnesota Supreme Court upheld the Hennepin District Court's decision. The Supreme Court said marriages between persons of the same sex are prohibited. Many people debated whether Baker and McConnell's marriage was valid. Baker and McConnell believe that it was. They are still married today and have been married for more than 40 years. Their journey to get married caused different reactions from many people. They received hate mail. They also received support from different organizations and people. They were featured in a national magazine article, comparing them to any heterosexual couple. Their marriage didn't change the law, but it did prove that same-sex couples can be committed, breaking stereotypes many people had about gay couples.
And that made people braver. I think that in general, the LGBTQ community got braver because of Baker and McConnell.
Nearly 43 years after Jack Baker and Michael McConnell were married, Minnesota legalized same-sex marriage on August 1, 2013. Hundreds of reporters and observers gathered around Governor Mark Dayton as he signed the bill. 2 years later, the United States Supreme Court made it illegal for states to ban same-sex marriage. Now in Minnesota, there are thousands of same-sex marriages. And every June, pride parades occur to commemorate the Stonewall riots and to celebrate the LGBTQ community. They started occurring in the mid-70s and are still thriving today.